A lot of what Sima Gupta is watching closely there in Rome. Thanks for that, Jessica Le Mazurier. After plummeting 10% in under a week, Europe's markets earned a breather this Wednesday, thanks to the good folks in Karlsruhe, Germany's constitutional court, upholding the country's participation in Eurozone bailouts. This on the day the French Parliament becomes the very first among 27 EU nations to approve a July 21st rescue plan. However, second thoughts over a 440 billion euro pan-European fund aren't just limited to the likes of Finland and Slovakia. A growing number of backbenchers from Angela Merkel's centre-right coalition wonder if it's worth it, accusing Greece of dragging its heels. Ditto for the likes of Italy, who in the face of strikes stands accused of flip-flopping on austerity. Are debtor nations skiving, or are creditors simply asking too much of them? Why does the future of the Eurozone seem at this point to rest so much on the shoulders of Germany? Today in the France 24 debate, we're discussing the battle over debt, and with us to talk about it from Athens, Yanis Varoufakis, professor of economic theory at Athens University. Welcome back to the debate, sir. We also want to welcome here a elder statesman, preeminent member of France's academic community, historian and political scientist, Ilios Yannakakis. Welcome to the show. We hope to be joined shortly by Christian Stoffes of the French-German Council of Economic Analysis, and from Berlin by Markus Kerber of Technische Universität. Thank you, by the way, for your feedback and your questions on the France 24 debate Facebook page, and also on Twitter, where our handle here is @FrancoisF24. Now, just to give you an idea of why those markets rebounded, the payback for the Greeks is only just beginning. We see, for instance, the chart when it comes to how much Greek debt there is, courtesy of Der Spiegel, and you see that the pain gets worse and worse. So if the Germans don't want to pay, well, you can see what will happen there. Look at the numbers. At this point, Yanis Varoufakis, are you breathing a sigh of relief?
Absolutely not. I shall only breathe a sigh of relief when I see a rational plan at the Eurozone level for tackling the triple crisis the Eurozone is facing. At the moment, all I see is policy on the run and a collapsing European banking sector, which is not going to end simply because there was a good day in the markets following some unexpected news from Athens or from elsewhere. Our banking sector is in meltdown, and our sovereign debt is out of control, and nothing that the Eurozone has agreed so far, or is likely to agree in the next few days or weeks, is offering any serious hope of reversing that situation. So I'm afraid no sigh of relief until I see a modicum of rationality emerging from Europe.
All right, and by the way, the fact that the Constitutional Court upholding the plan that's been put forth by Angela Merkel's government doesn't mean it has a free pass. It's calling on the government to go to Parliament in the future for future bailout plans.
This decision will be misinterpreted as a constitutional blank check for further rescue packages.
All right, and let me go to Markus Kerber in Berlin. Do you feel as though when you hear the Constitutional Court say, okay for this time, but you got to take things more to the Bundestag before you make decisions, that all this is being worked out in an undemocratic manner?
Well, what is most striking about the court's decision is that it has taken such a long time. So when deciding today, it could no longer decide on the past. The recent bailouts have been acted. The money has been paid or is in the process of being funded or paid. But what is most interesting is the updated European Financial Stability Facility, has to comply with the veto power of the German parliament. And the German parliament has been constitutionally guaranteed by the court the duty, not only the right, but the duty to examine prior to any funding the full proposal for a bailout. So this is something which is a matter of fact. You can find this critical, you find it fantastic, but I cannot imagine the updated and reinforced European Financial Stability Facility work with such a scheme. In other words, either you make the facility work very quickly, and you neglect the duties of the parliament, or you take very seriously the duties of the parliament, and then you have to postpone the decisions of the European financial stability for at least some weeks, which makes the facility, the rescue mechanism, incapable of reacting very swiftly. So this is a matter of fact, and this is a new constitutional landscape in Germany, which makes further bailouts extremely difficult. And I would like to hint at the fact that there is growing concern in the German parliament, and despite, let us say, a chancellor who is still a prisoner of the wrong decisions she has taken 1 year ago, there is a growing unrest in her own political party and in her own parliamentary group, not to mention the Liberals.
That growing unrest within her own party, illustrated in an article that we saw in the Wall Street Journal this Wednesday. 25 backbenchers from the ruling center-right coalition breaking ranks in a straw poll ahead of a September 29th vote to approve that enhanced bailout fund bill. We're getting mixed messages at this point. We're joined by Christian Stoffes. Welcome to the debate. We're getting mixed messages over which way the German government is going. We've been hearing, on the one hand, that they want to go all the way, even if it means enhanced powers for Brussels. And on the other hand, we're hearing signs that they want to wash their hands of all this.
Well, there have been signs, contradictory signs in the recent past, but I would call the decision made today by the court a clarification. It's a verification. Germany is playing Europe. There were rumors in the recent weeks, months, years that there was a strong opposition to all this in Germany. We will verify again on September 29 when the Bundestag will be called to vote for the extension of the role of the European Stability Fund. But basically, it's a verification that Germany is playing Europe. Of course, there is a difficulty with Greece. Probably the big mistake has been made when Europe accepted Greece to enter the Eurozone 10 years ago without creating the instrument to verify that Greece was sticking to its commitment. But the mistake is behind us, so we now have to repair it.
There's no going back.
No, there is no going back, only at an extreme cost.
All right.
Everybody is happy of the decision of the Constitutional Court. Most people are happy. But imagine what it would have been if the court had said no. Imagine what would have happened. There would have been a major global financial crisis.
Marcus Kerber, should the court have said no?
Well, you know, my position has always been to push the court I've advocated that, to say no very quickly. As the court didn't say anything for more than a year, we did not expect the court to say no. And any constitutional court in such a situation showing the willingness to oppose its will and its legal interpretation to the plans of the government would cancel, so to speak, the internal peace between the law court system and the government. So let us be realistic. I am, of course, legally speaking, disappointed because I advocated a nullification of the bailouts. And that hasn't happened. But politically speaking, it was unrealistic to hope for that after more than 1 year of silence by the court. So again, the court is in a very difficult situation, but the criteria the court has elaborated for further bailouts, and I repeat a little bit myself, impose a regime of veto powers for the parliament, which in my opinion is incompatible with the functioning of the European financial stability facility.
All right, and on that
so
point,
we have to go in one way or another.
And on that point, by the way, you talk about going one way or the other, Marcus Kerber. Angela Merkel's coalition getting it from both sides. On the one hand, we talked about those backbenchers that are having second thoughts ahead of that crucial vote on the enhanced debt fund. On the other hand, the Greens, the Social Democrats, they want more reform. They're pushing for the Eurobond concept to pool the debt burden across the Eurozone. And they accuse Merkel's cabinet of sending, again, mixed messages.
The government's own parliamentarians don't trust the government's politics, as their plans are nothing but inconsistent. That way, you will never get the support of your own people.
Christian Stoffes, should Angela Merkel fear more the opposition or her own party over this issue?
No, there is opposition, but the numbers are not very important. The number of CDU, CSU and FDP parliament members who would vote no on September 29 is maybe 10 to 15. So it's not a major issue. I think the court has usefully recalled a basic constitutional principle that there is no taxation without representation. This is a basic principle of democracy. And usefully the court says that government's executive branch cannot spend taxpayers' money without reinforced parliament control. And especially the court explicitly refused the concept of Eurobonds. Because Eurobonds, it's a way of taxing people without asking for their advice. So I think it was a useful principle. We are facing a crisis. The sacrifices has to be shared equally. Everybody has to pay something. Germany has to pay. This is a price for maintaining the euro. The Greeks have to pay. They have to pay. They are not very serious. They have to pay, really, because they have exaggerated. And we are in the process of European verification. And it's, of course, it's a crisis, but in a way it is a salutary process.
When we asked on the France 24 Debate Facebook page whether it's Germany's responsibility to ensure that those debts get paid, Sisla wrote, definitely yes, because it has the political and economic leverage to dictate the pace and pressure of and also to pressure weak states like Greece. Ilios Yannakakis, the EU, when it was founded, it was invented, some say, as a way to keep the French and the Germans from fighting one another. Now we're discovering that there's a whole new challenge that's come because of this crisis.
Yeah. I think, first of all, I agree with you. Germans play Europe. And everybody knows in Europe that we cannot leave Greece in this situation. That is the master fact. I don't think that the rumors that Germans cannot agree with to rescue Greece and I don't believe that. Nobody wants the situation of a very big crisis in Europe in this time.
Nobody wants it, but at the same time, it was just spelled out by Christian and by Marcus in Berlin there, that there's this debate on whether or not the bailout is democratic.
I don't believe that. I think that the problem is that, you know, the feeling of the government of Merkel, she played a very, very strange play. First of all, she plays Europe, but she has her own opinion in German.
Her own public opinion to contend with, yes.
That is the dilemma. How to play between that? And that is the main question today.
I
think it's completely undefendable to ask Germany to play Europe. Germany has been playing Europe for all the time of its membership. And if Germany had not played Europe, in other words, if Germany had not funded the European community, we wouldn't be in a situation of integration
Gentlemen,
as we have
I'm
achieved.
listening to this
But
for now for quite a
now we are in a
Marcus
time
Kerber,
of,
then we'll go to Yanis Varoufakis.
we are in a time of disintegration. The Euro project is a project of disintegration. So the disintegration has been starting. We are at the beginning of the agony of the Eurozone, like it or not. And the question is, will the European Union as such disintegrate simply because some professional or unprofessional Euro rescuers have not understood that the time for the Euro is over?
All right, a rosy prediction there from Marcus Kerber in Berlin. Yanis Varoufakis.
Yes. Gentlemen, the European Union is crumbling under the weight of the crisis of the euro. I will agree with Professor Berger. The bailouts were a catastrophe. They turned a drama into a domino effect. And now, listen to Mr. Ackermann of the Deutsche Bank. He just told us very recently that to him, the present moment is reminiscent of the Lehman moment of the end of 2008. We must stop pointing fingers at one another in the Eurozone, and we must understand that what we have is that we have a common currency which has failed by design, and we have a very stark choice right here, right now. Do we put it together, or do we let it go? Those like Professor Berger who think that we should let it go are misunderstanding spectacularly the extreme costs that that collapse will bring to bear on the whole of the Eurozone, surplus countries like Germany and deficit-stricken countries like Greece. So I think that it is essential for the future of Europe that we do not allow it to disintegrate. But the only way you can do that is by stopping the bailout logic of the EFSF from progressing. The EFSF is a toxic organization that can never be a part of the solution. We have to integrate our banking sector, and we must do everything we can to stop this meltdown which is unfolding as we speak within our banks. Sovereign debt is a big problem, but the greatest problem that we're facing now is a banking sector which operated for a while like zombie banks, like Japanese banks in the 1990s, but now, today, as we speak, are threatening to drag us down like a huge stone straight to the bottom of the ocean. And secondly, we have to deal with sovereign debt in a way which consolidates. Eurobonds can come in different shapes and forms. The Eurobonds that Mrs. Merkel is admonishing and Mr. Berger is admonishing are a straw man of a Eurobond. Of course, it would be silly to have Germany and Greece and Holland and Portugal jointly and severally guarantee bonds. It would be like having California and Ohio guaranteeing bonds as state governments in the United States. What we need to unleash the powers of the European Central Bank to save the euro at the moment.
A major reform,
the European Central Bank to issue its own bonds so that it doesn't print money anymore.
A heavy lift reforming Europe's institutions, including the ECB. We're going to be talking about how you're going to sell it to public opinion when we come back.